Hey guys, Froglio here, your friendly underfrog of Yu-Gi-Oh! And in this video, I'm going to be giving you a bit of a beginner's lesson in Yu-Gi-Oh! GOAT format. Basically, I'm going to go through a best 2 out of 3 match here between myself and some random person, and I'm going to be taking you play by play, step by step, talking about what each card does and what's going on at any point in the duel, and kind of how a duel plays out in the GOAT format. So this is a video basically just for anyone who's like either new to Yu-Gi-Oh! Or new to GOAT format, or returning to either. It's just a foundational piece of knowledge here, just so that you can appreciate the format and the gameplay a little bit more as you watch some of my later content when I play a lot of GOAT format, either doing like challenges or just for fun, things like that. And this is just like a for fun match best 2 out of 3 that I just, joined a random person's game, and this is how it went. So I actually won the rock, paper, scissors here, so I do get to go first. And right off the bat, I already have like a pretty solid hand. So Pot of Greed just draws 2 cards, pretty easy. Graceful Charity allowed me to draw 3 cards and discard 2. So I'm going to activate the Pot of Greed first here because I just want to see what cards I get before I go into the Graceful Charity. It's a pretty standard play. And then from here, I get to discard any 2 cards I want. It's pretty simple so far. Oh, and during each standby phase, you do get to draw 1 card off the top of your deck. Even going first in GOAT format, though in Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! You would not get to draw off the top of your deck on your first turn going first, but since we're in GOAT format, you are allowed to do that because that was the old rules. And yeah, so then I just set a Magician of Faith. So this has a flip effect. So flip effects activated whenever a monster is flipped face up, it will activate. And this will just allow me to add any spell card from my graveyard to my hand. And then Mystical Space Typhoon is a quick play spell card, so quick play spells can be activated either on your turn, just like a normal spell can, or it can be activated on either player's turn, but it has to be set face down first, and it can't be activated on the same turn that it was set face down. So basically, it's like a hybrid between spells and traps, and it just lets me destroy any spell and trap card on the field. And then he's going to go. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. So then during their end phase, I activate Mystical Space Typhoon to destroy his Book of Moon, just so he has no chance of activating it. And then I flip my Magician of Faith, take back Pot of Greed from my graveyard, draw the 2 cards, and even if he attacked into Magician of Faith, I still would have gotten to add the pot to my hand. It's just that Magician would have been destroyed. But now I activate Book of Moon. So target a face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. Again, as you see, just flipped it face down, so now I can potentially get a second Magician of Faith activation out of this. And then I also just set a Sangan, so if he's ever removed from the field, so sent from the field to the graveyard, he'll get to search me out any monster with 1,500 or less attack. So this card is a bit of an interesting card to have to play around, because a lot of times you want to try to get it off the field without sending it to the graveyard, but at the same time, that's pretty difficult to do. So a lot of times you will be getting to the search eventually, and here he goes. He plays a big card here. So Cyberjar just destroys everything, and then it does some weird stuff. So basically you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you special summon all level 4 or lower monsters from them, either face up attack or face down defense, and then the rest go into your hand. It's so weird. It's a symmetrical effect. So he's going to go first. He's basically just going to demonstrate how it works. So he sets these 3 cards, and then I don't get any card that can be special summoned, so they just all go to my hand. And I get a lot of card advantage, actually, but we both get a lot of card advantage. But then I do get to search with Sangan, so I search Stevie Warrior Lady. So now Metamorphosis is a pretty great card in this format, so it allows you to tribute any monster that you control, and then you special summon a fusion monster whose level is equal to the level of the monster he tributed. So he tributed his Zaborg the Thunder Monarch, and that is a level 6. So that he got to go into a level 6 fusion monster, which is from the extra deck down here. So you get to have a stack of fusion monsters just off to the side that you can play whenever you need, and Metamorphosis is the main way to get those cards out. and he ends up getting Dark Walter the Terrible, which is a 2000 attack, and he can negate normal spell card effects. But that's not really going to come up because I will defeat him with this. So in case you're wondering how this happened, on the side here, I banished a light and a dark, and that's what's required in order to special summon him. Normally, a level 6 monster would require you to tribute a monster in order to summon them, but this guy cannot be normal summoned or set. Instead, you have to banish a light and a dark in order to special summon him from the hand. And because that's a special summon, it does not take up our one normal summon or set for the turn, because normally you can only summon or set one monster per turn, but this is a special summon, so it does not count as that normal summon. And then he also once per turn allows me to banish a face-up monster on the field just from the game. It's basically gone from the game for the most part, but he cannot attack on the turn that he does that. So now we're going to keep going. On this card, this is a spirit monster, so all spirit monsters have an effect where on the turn that is normal summoned or flipped face up, it returns back to your hand during the end phase, and then this particular spirit monster allows me to attack all of their monsters one time each, but they have a Rain of Destruction to destroy it, so Rain of Destruction allows you to destroy any face-up monster on the field, and then each player takes damage equal to the attack of the monster that was destroyed. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, you can see how the effects works. Oh yeah, Sinister Serpent. Whenever it's in the graveyard during your standby phase, which is the turn like right after you draw your card, or the phase right after you draw your card, you get to add it from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a kind of an advantage engine because you can just discard it for a cost, and then you can get it back on your next turn. So it's like you didn't really lose a card. Brain Control takes control of a monster at the cost of 800 life points, but only until the end of the turn. Mobius here, once he's summoned to the field, he can destroy up to 2 spell and trap cards on the field, but I do have a chance to chain them, so I am going to chain my Book of Moon to set the Mobius, so he's going to go in face-down defense position, and I'm also going to chain the Scapegoat, which gives me 4 Scapegoat tokens, and they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon, but they can be tributed for a card effect. So like Metamorphosis, I could tribute a Scapegoat token. They are treated as level 1, so I'd be able to special summon a level 1 fusion from my deck, like Thousand Eyes Restrict here, which we'll get to him a bit later. So I just chain my cards to this card, so he will like destroy the cards, but I still get to use the cards instead of them just being useless. And then he's going to Metamorphosis into this guy now, which is basically just a trap negation type of guy. And he kills off all my goats. So this guy, you can tribute summon this card, target one monster on field, destroy that target. So that's what you just saw right there. You saw him attack with it, and then you saw him tribute him to destroy a goat. So now I have no goats left to tribute off with Metamorphosis. So I'm pretty much out of monsters here. But I still have plenty of cards in hand, plenty of cards to play, so I'll just set the whole field here. Torrential Tribute, if a monster is summoned, I can activate it, destroys all monsters on the field. Deity Warrior Lady here, the reason why I'm attacking into a bigger monster is because she has an effect where at the end of the damage calculation, so after we take damage here, I can banish her to banish that monster. So it's basically like monster removal, it's just that I have to banish her to banish the monster. And then Jinzo here is a big card because he makes it so that negate all trap effects on the field. So I cannot activate Rain of Destruction on him because he would negate it, or he wouldn't even allow me to activate. I can't even activate it. And then Torrential Tribute I can't activate either because it's a trap card. This card I would be able to activate, and I'm probably going to do that soon. Because it's a spell card, not a trap, but all my other traps are pretty much null and void here. And then Delinquent Duo, it randomly discards a card from my hand, and then I have to choose one more card to discard, so I have a tough choice between Metamorphosis and Snatch Steal. Both are potentially good cards, especially since I do have Scapegoat, so I do end up going with the Snatch Steal, though. And then he goes in for a lot of damage, but I do activate the Scapegoat here to protect some of my life points. So even though they have 0 defense, they'll still protect my life points good enough. He doesn't attack though, he just passes. And then I tribute a goat token for Thousand Eyes Restrict here. And I accidentally summoned it in defense mode, but I meant to summon it in attack mode, but either way, it doesn't really matter. What Thousand Eyes Restrict does is it allows me to suck up one of the opponent's monsters, equip it to the Thousand Eyes Restrict, and then it takes on the attack and defense of that monster while it's equipped. And then, in addition to that, no other monsters on the field can change their battle positions or declare an attack. So even though the defense points will be lower than Chaos Sorcerer's attack points, the Chaos Sorcerer will not be able to attack him to destroy him. But either way, I also have the Ring of Destruction here to destroy the Chaos Sorcerer. So what's going to happen is I'm going to equip the Jinzo. So now that Jinzo's not in play, because he's face up in the spell and trap card zone, but he's not in play anymore. He's not a monster. He's just equipped to Thousand Eyes Restrict, so his effect is no longer in effect. So now I can activate the Ring of Destruction here to destroy the Chaos Sorcerer before he has a chance to banish my Thousand Eyes. But I also have a Chaos Sorcerer of my own, so yeah, I decide to banish it with the Chaos Sorcerer, so end my turn here. And then he just sets these cards. Call Haunted revives the card. Pretty simple. And I'd attacked into his Sinister Serpent here, but he's just going to keep being able to re-add it back. And since I had Thousand Eyes Restrict up, I'm not allowed to attack with my Chaos Sorcerer. So literally, we're just kind of in a loop where he's going to set Sinister Serpent. I attack into him, then I have to pass. Then he gets Sinister Serpent. He sets it. Then I attack into it. Then I have to pass because Sinister Serpent is just so good. It keeps coming back. It's an amazing stall card. It's just a really good card all around. But now he has to break with the Magical Warrior, but he keeps setting the Sinister. So we're kind of stuck in this little bit of a loop here until he decides to do something else. And he does. He summons the Breaker. I do Ring of Destruction it because I don't want him to destroy my stuff, and I don't want to activate Torrential here because then all of my cards will get destroyed. So I'm Ring of Destructioning him. You both take damage. He's going to summon his Exiled Force back, though, which is really bad for me, so he does get to kill my Thousand Eyes here. And then he gets the Lackluster Soldier. So just like Chaos Sorcerer, this guy's like a Chaos monster, so he banished a Light in the Dark from the graveyard in order to summon him, so that'd be like the Breaker and the Thunder Dragon. But unlike Chaos Sorcerer, he is 3,000 attack, and he has a couple effects. So first of all, one of his effects is similar. He can banish any monster on the field instead of attacking. So Chaos Sorcerer is only face-up monsters. This card can banish any monster. But his second effect is relevant too because he can, if he attacks and destroys an opponent's monster by battle, he can make a second attack in a row. But he can't do that on the same turn that he does the banished effect, so it's one or the other. But either way, this card is a very big powerhouse of a card, and it's limited to one in GOAT format. So I had to activate the Torrential Tribute here. This is terrible card advantage. I lose all these monsters to take care of his one monster. But he's just going to clean out all of my monsters anyways if I don't do this. So I figured might as well Torrential here anyways. And its turn's just going to pass back to me. So I normal summon Breaker. And Breaker has an effect where you can remove a spell counter from him to destroy a spell or trap card on the field, but he doesn't really have any spell or trap cards worth destroying, so instead, when he's normal summoned, the spell counter that gets placed on him, I'm just going to leave on there because it also gives him 300 attack. So he's 1,900 attack right now, so he's going to do 1,900 damage. But if I were to have removed the spell counter to destroy a spell or trap card, he would have had 1,600 attack. So he's a very, very good card as well, limited to one. And now he's just on a one-turn clock here. And he sets a card, but I have Nobleman the Crossout, which can banish it. So Nobleman just banishes any face-down defense position monster. So easy as that. And then if it happens to be a flip monster like Magician of Faith, then each player banishes all copies of that card from their decks, just from the game. And then I win from here. So that's basically how a game goes. But if you want to stick around for game 2, I have that coming up here real soon. Okay, so here was game 2 of that same match, and they're going to go first because when you lose a match, you get to choose if you want to go first or second. So this is them right here. I'll swap. So this is me, this is them. They're doing their plays. So Thunder Dragon. If you discard it, you get to add 2 more copies of it from your deck to your hand. So it's another like card advantage card similar to Sinister Serpent, just not quite as good, but it is a light monster, so it's a way to fill up your graveyard for lights. And then Kaiko the Ghost Destroyer, it's mostly just an 1,800 attack monster, but if he does inflict damage to your opponent, you do get to banish 2 monsters from their graveyard, so it's a good way to stop the chaos monsters and to stop revival cards in general. But then he just delinquent duos me, so I have to discard some cards. And then I delinquent duo him back, and he actually got rid of all of his Thunder Dragons. Normally, Thunder Dragon would have been good here because he could have just discarded the Thunder Dragon for his chosen discard. But he got rid of all his Thunder Dragons, so he actually has to destroy some, or discard some really good cards, actually. And then I just pass it back to him because I don't have a monster. And then I activate this, so it destroys it. Sakuretsu Armor, when a monster declares attack, you can just destroy that monster if you want. Yeah, just set the board. Snatch Steal can take control of a monster in case I didn't go over that already. Okay, and this card's kind of the bane of my existence here because Mystic Swordsman level 2 looks weak to only 900 attack, but if it attacks a face-down defense position monster, it destroys that monster immediately with the card's effect. So it does not flip it face up, which means the flip effect does not work, and it doesn't matter how much defense it has, it's automatically destroyed. So it's actually quite an insane card. So my Magician of Faith would have been able to get back my Delinquent Duo, but because it was destroyed with the Mystic Swordsman, I cannot use her effect. So this card is really, really strong, and it's kind of the bane of my existence in this duel. That's a Book of Moon, Torrential Tribute. So I try to take control of it, and I do. Attack for 900, but that's about all that I do, because I really want this Magician of Faith to go off. He gets 1,000 life points during each of his standby phases, but then he takes control of it back with Brain Control. He uses his effect to destroy it, then he Books the Moon. So this is a really good play here. So the reason why he Book of Moons his own monster is because now this was the equip spell, right? This is an equip spell that denoted by that symbol here. So it's equipped to the monster. However, equipped spells do not work on face down monsters. So because he put his monster face down, this card leaves the field. So now it's in his control, because normally Brain Control would only take control of it until the end of the turn. But now that he takes Snatch Steal off of here, he's going to keep his monster permanently. So that's a really, really good play on his part. So now it's my turn though, and I don't really have any useful cards, so I pass it back to him. He's just going to be able to keep attacking into me. And then, yeah, I just have to keep passing. Oh, but I do have Scapegoat. I just didn't activate it last turn, and the reason why I didn't activate during my turn was because you cannot summon any more monsters on the same turn that you activate this card. So Metamorphosis would not have worked, so I'd rather just wait till his turn to activate it on his turn, and then use the Metamorphosis on my next turn. And then I just soak up an attack with a goat. He kills my Book of Moon, but it doesn't really matter. I can still go into my Thousand Eyes Restrict. Really, really powerful boss monster here. One of my favorite cards of all time, but he does take care of it with Torrential Tribute, but at least his Mystic Swordsman is gone. Then Tribe Infecting Virus is actually a pretty dangerous card because you can discard a card from your hand to declare any one type of monster, destroy all face-up monsters of the declared type on the field. So basically, if I still had Thousand Eyes Restrict on the field, he could have discarded any of his cards, declared Spellcaster because Thousand Eyes is a Spellcaster, then he would have just destroyed my Thousand Eyes with the effect, and then he still would have been able to attack me. I could have reamed it here, but I didn't feel like it was that big of a threat since I didn't have any monsters at the time, and he could only use that effect during his turn, so I'd at least have one turn to deal with it. And that turned out to work out perfectly for me because I do have a Tsukiyomi, and Tsukiyomi is basically just a Book of Moon, so normal summon at Book of Moon something, and then she goes back to your hand during the end phase because she is a spirit monster. So I can book him, and he has only 1,000 defense. So she destroys him because, 1,100 defense or 1,100 attack, and goes back to the hand. Then he just sets Magical Merchant. Magical Merchant's a fun card, so flip effect. Basically, he looks at cards in his deck until he reveals a spell and trap card. Then he adds that spell and trap to the hand. Then all the other cards that you looked at go to the graveyard. So it's insane card to potentially build up your graveyard for chaos plays as well as to get just a random spell or trap card to your hand. So it's just a really nice card all around. I love it. I play it in my deck as well. I drew into another Tsukiyomi. The reason why I set Tsukiyomi is because when I normal summon her, her effect is mandatory, so she'd just be set face down anyways. And she's 1400 defense, so it's not a bad defense stat, especially since this guy's pretty weak anyways. And he ends up looking at all these cards, and he keeps going until he finds a spell or trap. Finally, he finds a spell or trap. All the others get to the graveyard. Now he gets to activate that to search a warrior. But I do ream this card because even though he wouldn't be able to get over my Tsukiyomi, if he was able to stay on the field for long, he might be able to attack my life points directly. And if he does, he could discard a card from my hand, and that's just bad card advantage for me. So he can keep just discarding stuff every time he inflicts damage, and I do not want that around. But he summons back his other swordsman here to just ruin my day once again, taxing for 200. And then I draw a Mirror Force, so I do try to kill his swordsman here, and I am successful. And then I set my Mirror Force. Mirror Force destroys all attack position monsters your opponent controls when they declare an attack. Chaos Sorcerer is not going to do much here because I activate Mirror Force. And then Dark Mimic is a flip effect where you just draw a card if they activate the flip effect. But he's going to exile Force here, so he's going to just get destroyed without effect. So Tsukiyomi has to flip herself again. I forgot about that, but like I said, it's mandatory, so I can't attack with her because there's no other monsters on the field to target. Pot of Greed is a nice draw here. Into Graceful Charity, and I normal summon him. Attack for 1700. Snatch Steal is going to take control of my guy. And then Tsukiyomi, I'm going to flip. Okay, that was kind of a bad move on my part because I probably should have just targeted Tsukiyomi again if I was allowed to. Because setting this took away the Snatch Steal, but it's also face down, so it doesn't come back to my side. I feel like so he just permanently gets to keep it. So it's kind of a weird interaction there. Set my own Magical Merchant. And then he gets back Graceful Charity. Heavy Storm is a big card here. It destroys all spell and trap cards on the field, as you can see. And then Premature Burial brings back a monster. Kills my thing. This guy's pretty cool. So this guy has piercing battle damage. So if he were to have attacked into my Magical Merchant, he actually would have done battle damage to me, because normally you don't do battle damage to someone when you attack a defense position monster. But with his effect, it says, piercing battle damage on there. He would have done damage equal to the difference between this card's defense and his attack, so that'd been like 1200 damage. But he didn't need to do that because he really wanted to make sure I did not get that effect, so he attacked this instead. But anytime he inflicts damage at all, whether it's through like a defense position monster or just a direct attack, he does get to draw a card. So this card's a really good card in GOAT format. It's gives you a lot of tempo, and he draws into a Pot of Greed, so I basically just drew like 3 cards off of that, but it doesn't really matter because I lost anyway. So that was game 2. So now let's hop into game 3, see who the ultimate winner of this match is. Okay, here is the final game of the match, and since I lost the last duel, I get to choose if I want to go first or second, and of course I choose to go first. So I am going to start by drawing, and I draw into a Pot of Greed, which is amazing. So Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, but he has Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity too, so it's basically fair. I do have a Sinister Serpent, though. I drew into a Sinister Serpent, so I discarded that with Graceful Charity, so that's really good card advantage on my part. And then I normal summon the Sandgan. The reason why I have it face up is so he doesn't like destroy it with a Mystic Swordsman or a Nobleman to cross out. Because they can only do their effects when it's a face-down defense position monster, so putting this guy in attack position saves him from just being destroyed by a card effect, or banished by a card effect. So I think putting it in face-up attack is the right call. And then Breaker, he can destroy one of my cards, and he does destroy the Dust Tornado, and since I don't have a target for it, I don't activate it. But then he activates the Mystical Space Typhoon, so I am able to chain my Scapegoat. It's just such a great card, Scapegoat is. I love it. One of my absolute favorite cards of all time. And I do have the Metamorphosis to back it up with. And Sinister Serpent adds back to my hand. Metamorphosis, going to suck up the Breaker. And then attack for 1600. And then he just has a Torrential Tribute, which I don't know why he didn't activate it. But he's going to banish my Sangan, so because Sangan is banished, I don't get the effect. So that's kind of bad, but at the same time, I got ways to deal with his board here, so I'm not too concerned. Now he actually reigns his own monster here because he does not want me to have it, but he is going to take a lot of burn damage from that, and I have a nobleman to cross out to banish their face down monster here, so I'm in a really, really good position. So banishes their monster. And then I set the Magician of Faith, attack for 1600, he's close to dead. But then this is where he does summon his swordsman and then activates Torrential Tribute to he completely decimates my whole board here, which kind of sucks, but at the same time I do have a follow-up play. And he does get a bit greedy here for the 2300 damage because he doesn't have a monster to banish. He's just getting in for the damage here, which that's very, very dangerous at his low life points because he knows I'm on Thousand Eyes Restrict, and he knows I have a Sinister Serpent by this point, so all it takes is one more card, and I can suck him up, attack for game. So he should have summoned the Tri-Infecting Virus here, because that at least wouldn't have killed him if I took control of it, right? So he got greedy for damage here, so this was his ultimate demise. So I'm going to win the game right here. Normal summon the Serpent, activate that, tribute it for Thousand Eyes Restrict, suck up his monster, and attack for game. And there you have it. A 3-game match in GOAT format. So I hope you were able to follow along and were able to understand most of these cards and stuff. And I'll try to explain more new cards as they come up in future videos. But for now, this is just the basics of GOAT format, and you kind of get the idea of how most of these cards work and how the game plays out. So hopefully you will be able to enjoy all my other content, knowing full well how games play out, so you can kind of get hyped when things happen and stuff like that. So that's the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.